Alrighty, we're going live. Hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear. My audio's looking good, but I've got a bit of a new microphone situation going on. Gonna send out my tweet and my Facebook message. Tweeted, Facebook message, Facebooked. I hope the fancy image I made attached correctly. I'm just going to trust that that went through. Got chat open, I got webcam a little overexposed as I like it. And we have our canvas before us with some nice natural light coming through and the sound of passing traffic. Nice, thanks big truck. Okay, so last stream, which you can check out in the replays if you want, we spent just about 2 hours drafting this thing, getting the layout right, and getting a little bit caught up in all the details, but it's all going to serve us well. And now I have printed this out. I have in a very light blue the draft layer, and I'm going to take my handful of pens here and possibly some pencil too, and I'm going to ink in these lines and make try my best to make a pretty little battle map. So hopefully the shadows, it looks pretty good. I have the natural light coming in from this side, and I have a little pocket spotlight shining down, which if I toggle that, you can see the difference. Quite profound. So I think I'm not entirely sure which one I prefer. Maybe we'll keep the spotlight off. No, actually, it makes it easier for me to draw. We'll keep it on. And I've jostled the webcam now, so everything's messed up. No, it's fine. Okay, we're just going to dive right in. I haven't given much thought to where we're going to start. We're just going to start. And today I'm not going to be too mindful about, I can't get a grip on this canvas. I'm not going to be too mindful about keeping this thing perfectly in line with the Twitch stream, like so. I'm just going to flip it and turn it as I please, but everything's rather centered on the screen, so you'll see what's going on. And despite the annoying shadow I have from my hand, I think I'm going to start out, I'm using a fine liner now, a little Sharpie fine, and so long as it has enough ink in it, we're just going to define in a very fine line, these edges to our platform. Using a fine line like this, we can change it later if need be. We can kind of overpower it with a much more thick line, a much thicker line. But for now, it's doing a grand job. For the jungle temple, which we just got done yesterday, I used the brush pen very liberally, but I think today we're gonna, especially because it's kind of a subdued, snowy, overexposed kind of map, that's how I envision it anyway, we're going to see how far we can get just with the fine liner and just have very fine, relaxed lines. Starting off very precise like this, but later on we're going to jazz it up a bit with a few different styles. Here's a big rock coming out, so see, I can already see signs that this is running out of ink, so I should have popped down to the pen store before I started the stream, but I think we'll pull through. So pretty much I'm going to get my shapes down, the fine shapes down first, and then I'll throw in some thick lines later, which is kind of backwards to what I usually do, but you know, we're all about experimentation here. This is a boulder with one edge kind of a little covered by snow. So So I'm treating my snow a little bit like grass, but like extra cloudy grass. I should have mentioned too, since this is a new stream and all, this map has a very dramatic shifted perspective. So we have our platform here where the players can move about on, but all this is cliffside, vertical surface, with the next playable area being down here. And then there'll be staircases coming up this side to join the two. And then, of course, our actual gate, which if I move this, you can see our gate here is almost seen front on, and we haven't really played with this perspective at all, though it's not too late to do so. I might actually give that a shot and throw in some foreshortening. Now, of course, we don't have any foreshortening here, so maybe it'll look out of place. But we can kind of remedy that. We can pretend we meant to have foreshortening all along. We just have a very slight angle. And I think we can get away with a very slight angle. Just a hint of it, just to say we're aware of the rules of perspective, but we're purposely foregoing them. Yeah, and these staircases would also follow that, but I think the staircase, should we angle it down? I'm also trying to follow the grid too, to be mindful of the grid. So we'll just use very light foreshortening here, but the gate does look good with foreshortening, so we're going to keep it there at least. We got any viewers today? We got 2 viewers. Hello. Hey Alex, the Frog Temple is complete. It's going to be available later today, if all goes to plan, on my website, but you can download it already from the Patreon. You don't need to be a patron to download it. It's just hosted there because I could throw that up in 5 minutes last night, but it's a bit more involved to add it to my website, so it's not up there yet, but it will be later today. But it is complete. Very happy with how the Frog Temple came out. I titled it the Jungle Temple just because that plays better with Google SEO, search engine optimization. So I still refer to it as the Frog Temple. It's kind of its nickname. So yeah, I quite enjoy this fine liner. You can get all sorts of detail and fun stuff in here. Hey, Cecil, is that how you intend your name to be pronounced? Forgive me. If there's one thing I can reliably do on stream, it's butcher everyone's names. So I'm not really going about this map with any rhyme or reason. Because I got the draft down, I can afford to jump in at any point and kind of explore the canvas and add detail here and there as I at my leisure. So we're getting down and dirty with these cliffs for now. You probably can't see the draft very well on stream, but it's a very faint blue. Yeah, Alex, the final product has a big old dramatic shadow, which was, it tied the whole thing together beautifully, in my humble opinion. Got some snow bumps over here. Yeah, we'll keep going with the cliff. We're having fun up here. Might just go from top to bottom on this map. Something I've been trying to do is not get too detailed with the rocks, but rather just outline areas of light and shadow. Because yeah, it's kind of a bad habit of mine, is putting too much detail into the rocks, whereas they're not a focal point of the map, so they don't deserve it. You want to save your detail for like focal point. So in this one it'll be the gate and this regal platform up here. We'll dedicate our most of our detail up here, and we want to leave the cliffs rather barren. So I see we have a handful of viewers from YouTube. Is anyone on Twitch right now? Shout out Twitch. And we have snow down here too, so let's have the bottom of our cliff be a little lumpy bumpy. If you didn't tune into the last stream, the idea is this is a big cliff side, and built into the side there's a platform with a regal gate into the temple proper. We got some fun stuff on the platform, and then we have stairways going down onto some little ramshackle jetties, which were built much later on. And this, at the bottom of the cliff, is a frozen lake. So we got lots of ice and snow and fun stuff. And lots of shifted perspective on this one. The frog temple had some shifted perspective too, but not quite as dramatic as this one. Oh, hey Enwills, thanks for stopping by before work. Yeah, we got off to an early start today. We've already done 2 hours of streaming. I'm trying to, well, basically I had the whole day open, so I started off nice and early. We may even try the style of line art where the lines are very sparingly used, and then much of the detail comes out in the shadows and the color layer. So this may be a rather short stream if we go that route. But you can see it going together. It doesn't look like much on stream yet, but it's getting there. Yeah, Alex, I enjoyed. Myself and my girlfriend enjoyed Detective Pikachu a lot. I didn't have high expectations, so I was very pleasantly surprised. It's got the feel of a movie that was made by fans of the series. It's not just a cash grab. It doesn't have that feeling. It feels like a real kind of nostalgic romp for Pokemon fans, and I am one such Pokemon fan, so it was good fun. This is where we're going to take our chances, deviating from our draft to add some shifted perspective. I'm going to whip this canvas every which way today. I hope it doesn't make anybody ill. No, that's completely understandable, Enwills. Please limit it to whatever is affordable for you. I'm grateful for every last dollar. Here's our door. We can kind of hint that it's tightly sealed by not completing that line. I haven't paid much thought to what kind of pattern we should have on this door, if any. Perhaps it should just be a sheer rock face. Like, we had quite a detailed jungle door on our last map. Perhaps this one is unique in that it's deliberately simple. So I kind of pre-planned all of my large rocks on the draft layer, and I'm just inking them in now, which is great for composition, because often, and I think I had this issue with the jungle temple, when I start drawing rocks, I'll draw a bunch here and there and here, and then I see that it's a bit unbalanced because there's too much detail here, so I add more detail here. And then I find that I need some more detail here to balance it out, and it's kind of a trap where I start adding too much detail to the rocks, and very quickly it becomes messy. So we kind of curbed that with the jungle temple, but I think the better solution is just to pre-plan all the rocks. When I have an eraser handy on the computer, I can erase any of this inking. Much more difficult when I'm actually using a pen. And then it helps me just be a little more controlled with my rocks. Oh yeah, Inwills, if it seems like I'm just adding lines like some sort of master of the art, there's actually a very faint blue, all these lines which I pre-planned, and all I'm doing is following them at this point. So I'm making it look easy because I'm basically cheating right now. I'm just following my own lines, which I took 2 hours to pre-plan these lines. So it doesn't come as naturally as it looks, unfortunately. But to answer your question, I learned to draw. Well, I've been drawing a long time as a kid, mostly characters and fun stuff, not so much nature and what I draw these days. But I think my art skills only really came to fruition when I got some formal training, I suppose, some tertiary education. But everything I learned there, you can learn on the internet rather easily. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend chasing down a full-on education in art unless you're very serious about making it a profession. But if you're just a hobbyist drawer, then there's plenty of stuff on the internet that can help your art skills evolve. And but mostly, I kind of talk about this sometimes in my YouTube videos. The important thing is to frequently do studies of certain topics. So my rocks used to be a lot simpler than this back in the day. In fact, I never used to draw them. I think some of my earliest maps just have a line for the top, a line for the bottom of the slope, and then a bunch of shading hatched in between. And then I just paint them brown and call them rocks. But what you want to do is look up reference images online and copy and learn, make notes of what little shortcuts you can take to make a thing look like rocks, that sort of thing. So we're going to have a stairway here. So I think the best thing you can teach yourself concerning art is how to study. Because it's a matter of light and shadow, not what I'm doing right now where you're outlining shapes. You don't want to draw outlines so much as you want to outline areas of light and shadow. But there's your crash course. I feel kind of unqualified to speak much more on the topic, so I'll stick to little tips and tricks that I learn about mapping, but general art skills, there's probably much better channels to follow for those. So we have a very vague, very gentle kind of foreshortening over here. No, I don't have a skills share course. I definitely don't feel qualified to do that. I made these by accident when I edited my draft, but I quite like having this, what would I call that? Like a flattened edge around the edge of these. Like I imagine, especially if they're ancient structures, they would be quite eroded. I'm just going to deliberately crease these lines. And this is fun, so we've decided last stream that some kind of magical event happened in this tomb or outside it, and it caused the icy lake in front of it to shatter down the middle, and maybe this crevasse leads all the way from here to the nearest town where your players hear about the news. We've got some snow down here, we've got some snow on this side too. Just gonna kind of chip into here too. Just little points of detail like that. Big bundle of snow. Yeah, Alex, some subtle runes on the door. I like that idea. Maybe we can mix in, we have a rune on this side and a rune on this side, and we can maybe mirror them on the door. We shall see. Right now I'm still mucking around with just kind of the structural lines. Yeah, these are definitely weathered surfaces. I kind of wish I had given the snow all like a very distinct direction with the shapes, but it's a little too late for that now. I can still kind of hint at it here and there. But like if we were to make it kind of waves, dunes of snow, that would suggest like a harsh wind that sweeps this way, especially with all of our rocks leading that way too. We could have had a nice motion to the whole map, which we still kind of have because we banked the snow up just on the one side. Yeah, I think I'll sneak that in with the remaining snow, just a little, sparingly. This is a big snowfield here. And these vague shapes are upturned boats. Well, maybe not upturned, but they were frozen into the lake. They got left here at some point for some reason. I also neglected to fill in my stairs, so I should decide if I want to do half I have to decide how large these steps are going to be, basically. I think we'll go with rather large squares because we have 15 feet of climbing stairs. You know, it's going to be quite tall, isn't it? No, actually, I want to do rather small stairs. I changed my mind. So I'm just going to draft these in. What we'll do, we'll have large stairs up top, and then we'll transition down to smaller stairs at the bottom, and that'll give us the illusion of depth. So you won't, I guarantee you won't be able to see what I'm doing right now. Far too light, but as soon as I pick up the pen, you'll be able to follow along again. Okay, not bad. It's not great. So the last few stairs are bigger than the bottom stairs, and that'll just aid with the illusion of depth, though most of the work will be done by the light and shadow, which we'll add later. We have rather randomly spaced stairs here too. These ones will meet up flush with the cliffside, which means we should probably have a couple of rocks that have fallen down. Mix those in sparingly. We're going to return to all of these elements to add more detail, but still just getting general shapes. So here we have a bit of a lip to the edge, and then lip will transition to some cliffy rocks. How's my audio if I talk over here? It looks okay. With snow at the bottom. So I could do a bit more detail over here. How I'm done. Might even bust out the brush pen soon. With the brush pen, we're going to use much thicker lines for the edge of this platform, just to differentiate the change in elevation, or rather the edge. Okay, so down here we have, well, the plan is to have like a ramshackle jetty, so I have to figure out how the planks are going to go. What I'll do, I'll divide this up. Just pre-planning my planks. Okay, I'll have it go this way too. And here it can go this way again. Yeah, that'll be okay. And then we'll have, I like to mix in some diagonal planks too. Maybe even some supplies that were left here. Just a single barrel. Maybe a coil of rope. And that reminds me, we need some, what's it called, the poles that you tie your boat to. One of those. Hey Boomza, welcome to the stream. I'm not sure if you've just had the same thought as I had earlier, or if you tuned into the last stream, but it did turn out very Elsa Temple, didn't it? Maybe that's the Demi-Lich waiting inside, Elsa's final form. I want to scatter these poles out, kind of at random. Doesn't even make sense for there to be one there. This must be fun, watching me draw lines that you can't even see. Sorry about that, everyone. I promise to pick up a pen soon enough. Before I do, I'm going to... So these boats, if a rowboat freezes in a lake, I guess it still... It doesn't like tip over or anything, does it? Gosh, I sound so Australian right now. How does ice work, guys? I've never seen it before. So there'll be like snow bunching up on this side. Yeah, that'll look good. This rowboat here is going to be tipped over. Somebody's placed it here to temporarily bridge the crevasse, which you'll be able to see soon enough when I ink it in. A landing pad for ice dragons. Yeah, that's badass. Yeah, they're attracted here by the magical energies. And here we have a rowboat. We have a regular rowboat. This one's a little small. If it's a halfling rowboat. Okay, I've penciled in enough details. Let's jump in with the marker. So this is the secret to looking like you're a natural with the pen, is to first draft in a pencil that nobody else can see, and then jump in with the pen and just smash it out first time. Yeah, I've really been missing this fine liner. Like, I harp on and on about how much I like the brush pen, and it is good fun, but this fine liner, it's just so reliable. And I quite like the super thin look. It's going to let me do a lot more with the color layer. Okay, I'm going to smash a gap between these two planks. We're doing our ramshackle jetty now, so there's going to be a lot of ramshackleness. Planks aren't going to have a consistent size. That's just, you know, they're sourced from all over the place. Different sized planks. There's no industry standard in this part of the world. And these just disappear beneath the snow. So this boat's kind of tied up to this pole. Kind of, but we're not going to actually draw the rope. Rope's a finicky thing to draw at this scale. Let's try and keep a nice momentum going. Yeah, rather diagonal off-center plank. I think right here we're just gonna forget the plank. That plank has come loose in the ice storms. at some point. I suppose there's still kind of the structural beams underneath, which we'll draw. Okay, we've got little jetty number 1. As we were going, our line kind of tended to get a bit thicker and thicker, so I have to add a little bit more up here. It's looking good so far. Thanks. You can see the perspective much more clearly now, can't you? We've got another jetty to draw. Let's dive right in with the non-standard blank. In fact, we're going to have 2 of those. Quite wasteful workmen just leaving their planks here. The one's not nailed down. So in the last stream we decided that the bulk of this area is going to be a smooth icy surface, just to make things difficult traversing it. Like I imagined some kind of Skyrim Dragon Priest ripoff, standing up here casting spells down as your players struggle with ice and the probably the ice zombies or whatever else you choose to use waiting down there. We were kind of thinking ice-themed Egyptian pharaoh / lich living in this tomb, and he's probably got like minor liches defending the outside. You know what we need is on this side the pylons would be visible right along there, and then just a hint of shading too. Yeah. Okay, we've got some 3-dimensional form. Thanks, Inwils. Have a good shift. Have a good work day. What's the inspiration for this map? Asked Jetpack Paul. Well, my thought when I asked myself what kind of map I should draw today is basically that we just got done drawing a jungle temple and I really liked it, and we got 2 more maps to draw this month, so I thought let's do 2 more elemental temples, and then just decided to start with ice. And we spent 2 hours earlier today drafting it, kind of conceptualizing it, and now that I have the draft printed out, we are adding the line art. Touch wood, I may even start coloring it today. Maybe, but I still have to publicly share the jungle temple, so that's probably going to eat up the rest of my day. We'll see. Almost forgot these lines, rather important for the perspective. Okay, so yeah, that's looking 3-dimensional. Nice. That doesn't really look like snow whatsoever. Okay, and this is the ice sheet now, so Let me look up some reference images for like icy lakes and stuff, because I feel like the edge of that icy chasm is going to look a certain way. Ice chasm. See if that turns anything up. Not really. I think I'll search cracked ice, cracked frozen lake. Yeah, this is good. Okay, nice. Interesting. This is going to be a lot of fun in the coloring step, getting all of the crisscrossed kind of secondary cracks that will be spiderwebbing out from this main chasm. But the chasm itself will be pretty sheer. Yeah, so I'm basically just going to follow what I have here. It's going to crack down here under the rowboat. With these kind of falling away into nothingness. I imagine this lake was magically frozen, so it's truly frozen all the way down, like more like an iceberg, I suppose, maybe. And then our boat. I'm not quite happy with the form of the boat, so we'll work with that a bit. Thanks, Jetpack Paul, and I'm glad it looks great so far. I like it so far, but there's plenty of room still to stuff it up. So let's not get careless. So the bottom of a rowboat kind of curves to a point. So you just have to suggest that point there. You know what I've done wrong? Is I have the planks going the wrong way. I've got the planks curving around like this when really they go long ways. So I very nearly drew a very strange rowboat. Okay. Yeah, let's see how that looks. And if we stuff it up, I can always digitally change it later. Bunch up a little bit of snow on this side. And somebody's placed this boat here to bridge the chasm, which is convenient for your players newly arriving on the map and already under attack. The center line will be down here. Yeah, it's still a pretty strange rowboat, but it's not sinfully bad. Do they have do rowboats have rudders? You know what? This one does. There. In fact, we're going to use this as our center line, and that's going to be ever so slightly raised, like a little spine. Does it make sense? I'm not sure. Okay, well, it looks like a boat. From afar it does. It's not bad. It's not my worst boat, that's for sure. It's not the focal point of the map, so we're good. Gonna add just a touch of a lip to this crack. Now, it's going to look very lazy, but pretty much all of this ice area we're not going to touch with the pen. We're just going to detail that in the coloring step of this map, but we will throw in a little bit of snow in the corner. These are just kind of snowbanks thrown in to balance out the canvas. You can see maybe you can see, maybe you can't see the difference that makes. So here we have another rowboat. These rowboats are easier to draw since they're right way up and easier for me to picture. That said, there's always room to stuff them up. Especially if I try and get fancy like I have with this one. Now at this scale, do we want a lip around the edge or no? I think we do. We just want to suggest the kind of curving. Oh, that was hideous. Just a few lines there. And that will pretty much do it. This one's kind of been tipped over by the wind, just a tad. And then we're going to fill in the bottom there with shadow. So that one's good. It's been claimed by the ice. Okay, rowboat number 3. I've warmed up now, so this one's going to be masterfully done. Just watch. It's not great. It's not bad. Probably should have drafted these in a digital layer, but you know, what's done is done. They still look pretty good. They serve their purpose. Okay, I could touch up these lines later with the thicker brush. So this bottom area of the map is pretty much done. It's going to be very bare. We've got our ice chasm. I can certainly, this should probably have crack going that way, but I can mix in some of these triangles as kind of visual aids of the direction of the slope. And they also give us convenient color blocks later on, so we can follow them with our colors. And then that will disappear into blackness with kind of a blue glow, probably, as the sun's shining through. We'll see. We'll look up some reference images for that. This needs a bit of editing, so I'll put a little X there so I know it's touched up later in Photoshop. Now, I was wondering what to do with these great big walls. Like they need something on them. Maybe we'll come back to it because I still have some work to do down here. So I'm imagining this platform is kind of made with magic rather than stone masonry. So it's going to be very smooth and uniform. but it's still going to have some interesting grooves and elements to it. We're not going to leave it as it is now, for example. And then the rest here and here, that'll kind of be carved into the stone. So that'll be kind of I'm imagining a black rock mountain. This might be black too, then the black and the blue and the white. That'll be an interesting trio of colors. Dairy. And then we also, of course, want to do something interesting with door. And of course, since we've shifted the perspective so much, there should be a top to the shape. Like that. So moving along, maybe I can afford to rest it like this so that you can see the whole thing at once. That's the other downside to shifted perspective maps, is they look great from one angle, but from all other angles they're not as stellar. Like here you can still tell what's going on, but it's not as exciting to look at as from the intended viewing angle. I think that's why we have kind of top-down purists, people who only use strictly top-down maps, because everyone sitting around the table gets the same quality viewpoint. I like these shapes we've mixed into the snow, so we're gonna kind of do that over here. And this is basically drawing blocks for our shadow, which will happen later. And of course we need our structural pylon things here. Which, if we're going to start drawing shadow, we need to think about which way the light's coming from, because that's going to greatly affect all of this 3D shape that we have here. I'm thinking it's going to come in from this way to kind of splash this mountainside. So it's going to be fully lit with just some shadows where it's obscured by these structures. So like here and there, that's fine because we could have a lump of snow there. And then just a little smidgen here and on this side of the jetty. That's good. You can also mix some in, just like the snow itself will form lumps big enough to cause a shadow. Especially these snowbanks here. Oh, and this rowboat will cast a shadow. Do I feel like Elsa? Yeah, I feel like the headcanon Elsa we're going with, where I've spent my life studying how to become an immortal lich, and I kind of want my eternal ice tomb rather than a palace. So this is Elsa's ice tomb for when she takes over the world with her ice powers, and then decides to shake off her mortal coils. So I like this. Now we can start hinting. Should we even hint with the lines at these cracks? Maybe some offshoot shards. I think we'll go with shards. Just a few, very sparingly done, because we're going to add a lot of detail here in the lines. But at the edges, they'll be kind of where the ice is crumbled and raised. Does it still look like ice, I wonder? It's a little bit kind of endangering our smooth lake look, but I think it's worth it. It's some fun shapes. So Darkling I Listen from YouTube asks if I'm playing any campaigns myself. Yes, I actually simultaneously am running a campaign of my own and playing in a campaign by my brother, and we swap back and forth by the week. So he takes his turn and I take a turn and we go back and forth like that. So his is kind of a traditional European setting, and mine is like a Japanese China analog. I basically it's just a boiling pot of Asian influences. My campaign setting, very loose. Okay, let's not go mad with these shapes. He said before he went mad with these shapes. But now that we've started, we have to have a sufficient amount to make it worth it. And I think that's about it. Maybe just a little smashed bit out here for balance's sake. And then we're going to crease this all up with cracks and fun stuff when we get to coloring. Because a lot of cracks, kind of beneath the surface cracks, are just white, so we can't jump in and do those with a black pen. I'm going to save them for when we have a white brush later on in Photoshop. Okay, let's call it on those. I keep saying that and then I keep drawing. Let's also not forget to have a cup of coffee. Okay, so our crack here is looking nice and dramatic and dangerous. So we still need some detail up here with our platform, where we have some runic symbols, and here I imagined a basin for sacrifices or something like that, like a diamond-shaped basin. So something like this, just kind of suggesting the three-dimensional shape. I guess it's we put the shadow on the wrong side there. That was real smart of me. Oh well. We can fix that in Photoshop. Put a little X there so I remember to. And then I was thinking we're going to follow this with an edge potentially. Or, yeah, I do like that in theory. Let me pencil it in for a bit. So either it's going to look nice or it's going to look too much detail. Since we are going for a simple aesthetic, deliberately simple aesthetic. No, I think we're gonna forego that. In fact, I keep going back and forth. So if we treat this as a slightly raised platform, and what I can do, I can remove this line. This is just me thinking out loud. But thanks, Gwendolyn. I'm glad you think so. I'm still making every effort not to screw it up. Because we definitely need something. We need more detail in here. So I'm gonna go with this. So I like these little stars at the side. I kind of think it's starting to look a bit too much like a banner of some sort. But rather than a snowflake was our kind of design anchor. But I think it will be worth it. It's gonna look alright. And in fact, if I don't like these lines, then I'll do away with them in Photoshop. So no harm done. So Rosano from YouTube, so you won't see his comment on screen, comments that little details on the map often inspires players to try new tactics. So if they see a fallen tree, they might try and roll it down a hill or throw it or something like that, and asks if I keep that in mind when I'm building maps. And yeah, the answer is yes. I do try and fill the maps with little bits of detail, such as little barrels and sometimes coils of rope and rowboats and stuff. Especially like cityscape maps, or like the market map that I have is a good example. That one's chock full of details. We've got cabbage carts and we've got pottery stores, all sorts of things you can throw and break and burn and electrify. So yeah, I adore mixing in all little bits of detail like that. You know, it's the things that aren't on your character sheet that are often the most memorable things you can do. Does that make sense? And I think if you're a player, definitely give that a try. I see my players, and I do it myself at the table. When my turn's coming up, I'm kind of looking up and down my spell list and my ability list, looking for things to do. But sometimes it's better just to immerse yourself in the setting and just keep like a memory of all your spells and abilities at hand, but not necessarily go for the optimal move, but just something memorable and creative and fun. And if you have a nice DM, he or she will probably appreciate it. Then again, if you have a hard-ass DM like my brother, it might just get you killed if you do something suboptimal. These are rather wonky little arms to the ice cube, but we're done with that shape. Quite like it. In my mind, the edge of the platform is like a ridge, like slightly raised ridge, not like embankment, not like a low wall or anything, but just a slight raise. And then we're going to put another slight raise here in this vague diamond shape. And these 4 raised bits are going to house, that is a really wonky diamond. That's going to have, I'm going to have to monkey with that later. We'll see. Oh yeah, you know I was thinking of the avatar when I put those cabbages in. No market is complete without a cabbage cart. So, and then these little runes will be indented into the platform. You can kind of see that. That'll be fun to color. It's going to look rather nice with color, I think. If I can pull it off. It's been the last time I drew ice was for the White Dragon's Lair, and I really like how that turned out. We had a big ice bed, like a frozen lake, and then beneath the ice there are all these coins and gems glimmering through, but like muted by all of the ice between the surface and the coins. It looked really nice. I think I could probably pull it off even better this time, but we'll see. Touch wood. So we've got our ridge here. Now what I think is we'll have a secondary ridge in this area too. And then in an effort to keep this whole thing pristine and clean and simple, like is our kind of design goal with it. Oh my gosh, I can't get past how wonky this triangle is. Forgive me. We're just going to put like a groove or something through the middle here. Something like that. But I quite like this groove we have here. Let's go with it. Maybe it'll be like a discolored part of the ice. Maybe there's like a gold cap that goes on top of it all. That would be interesting. You know, I just realized, at what point did we decide this platform was made of ice? Because earlier in the day I was thinking, let's deliberately not make it from ice, because that I feel like ice structures feels a little too much like Elsa, and B, a little bit too much like Game of Thrones. But I think we're going to lean into the ice after all. Okay, it's looking okay. It's looking okay. Hey David, day's going well. We've got lots done, and the coffee's still flowing. So, I hope your day is going just as well. So we're going to edit this horrendous triangle, horrendous rhombus, horrendous diamond shape in Photoshop. So that's not permanent. It's permanent now that I started streaming, because you know in the past nobody would ever know that I screwed it up, but now that I have a video record of it, I'm sure I'll never live it down. Okay, how are we looking? I'm kind of using the Twitch preview as a thumbnail view rather than getting up and taking a few steps back, as is the proper way for an artist to work. But here I'm thinking either we put some chips and deformations in the stone, or we put a groove kind of halfway down, but we need something. That's my thought, but in fact we may not need anything. It might be nice if we leave these large blocks uninterrupted so that we can do something interesting with the color, especially if we're going to make it out of ice. We're going to have all sorts of transparent interplay with the colors inside. I think we will do that. I'll put some chips and crags and stuff, but very sparingly so. And then up here too, this is, do we need anything more here? I think we're going to do something more with this. I'm going to put a ridge through here. This gate needs more to it. Thanks, Jargon. It's probably not how that's pronounced, but thanks for saying so. Yeah, I like shifted perspective maps too. I was kind of talking about it earlier in the stream. The downside is that it looks great at this orientation, but for the players sitting this side of the table or this side of the table, it's just a tad confusing. But hopefully if we make the perspective and the depth super obvious with our light and shadow, then we can minimize that. So what I do need is these stairs are made of stone in my head, so we're going to put some scattered stones down here, maybe some stones amidst the snow as well. Do the stones themselves need any more work, I wonder? It's kind of the eternal question. I'm always troubled by stone faces. I need to sit down and just study stone faces for an entire day. But I do like the way these stone faces had worked out. I think originally the side of the mountain was just going to be a sheer face horizontally, but I shifted it kind of 45 degrees this way, and now it's that kind of diagonal motion has added a lot to the map. So that was a good decision. So what I think we need, since this surface is stone, we'll just sneak a couple of cracks in here and some scattered stones. Cracks and little elevation changes. Since this is not as pristine and perfect as our magically crafted ice platform. We do want to be sparing. So this would have been carved out of the cliff face. Egan, okay, that's much easier. Thanks for joining the stream, Egan. We probably don't have much longer to go. If all goes well. We're just kind of adding the last bits of detail because I want this to be a very sparing map with the lines. The line art. Our jungle map was very heavy on the line art, but this one we're going to go heavy on the color. So I'm liking what I'm looking at. The thumbnail looks good. Let me twist it this way so that you can kind of see the whole thing at once. Yeah, this bit looks a bit bare, but that's going to be fixed with the color. You know, what we really need is to finish this gate up. And then I think we're going to be done. So let's theorize. I like the runic symbol idea. That was an interesting noise. I think we're going to mirror these runic symbols on the door too. Oh, somebody's drilling something. In case you're wondering what that strange noise is. Yeah, we're going to mirror these symbols on here, and that's going to be like a key to opening the gate. So all of our temples will have some kind of puzzle aspect to them. I also noticed something else that needed changing, but I've since lost it. Oh, I wanted to put some stony rubble in this space. In fact, that might be snow on that side. Let's put snow on both sides, since these little nooks and crannies would be the ideal place for snow to gather. Yeah, that's good. I like how much body this snowbank over here has. You may have noticed I'm not shy about complimenting my own art, and the reason being is most of my artistic accomplishments are completely by accident. So it's almost like complimenting a disembodied hand. I think let's try and do something fun with this door. What else do I plan on working on? Well, after this one, I got one more map for this month, and I want it to be another temple, so that we'll have a trio of Jungle Temple, Ice Temple, and Temple. So the one that immediately springs to mind is Fire Temple. We'll just go full Zelda on this project and have a Fire Temple with like magma and maybe like a bridge spanning across like a magma river. But that's a good question, Egan, because now I can ask the 3 or so viewers I have right now, what kind of temple would be a good number 3 to join kind of the green nature-themed jungle frog temple, this blue ice-themed snow temple, and then number 3. So like the obvious one is fire temple, and then we kind of following the Pokemon model of grass type, water type, and fire type. I think that's what will happen. Volcano temple. But if you have any better ideas, please do let me know, because I'm always open to suggestions. Also wonder if we should play around with some grooves. We could have a little secondary grooves in here. Yeah, those will be easy enough to remove if I change my mind later, so I'm going to go with it. I just like these runic indents in the ice. I think they're going to be fun to color in, and they're going to look rather nice. So these are kind of like boomerangs, I guess. We've got some Australian influence in our ice temple. Sorry, you have to look at my forehead so close up, but I'm just looking at the thumbnail. Don't want to get too sci-fi with this, so I might get rid of that. But anyway, I keep putting off this door. So now I have to take these runes and give them a slight shifted perspective. So if I start with a square, it'll be easier to draw them within a square. Let's do that. You all won't be able to see what I'm up to right now because I'm drawing very lightly in blue so that I can remove this color later in Photoshop. But it's going to be like so, and then triangle in there, and this shape in here. And this one is pretty much a mirror image, like so. I think I can work with that and then adjust it later in Photoshop if need be. So let's commit. Not bad, not bad. Someone who harps on about shifted perspective being so much fun to draw, I'm not exactly a master at it. Well, I'm not a master at it in any sense of the word, but that's good. And we can shift them to be where they're supposed to be in Photoshop. So they look quite wonky right now, but that is not a permanent thing. And then I wonder if we need some more, or if we should go with sheer ice wall. I kind of like sheer ice wall. Or we could put a ridge in up top. No, you know what? Sheer ice wall is nice. We'll just maybe try another groove here, because it's just a little bit. Oh, well, that's a good sign that we should end the stream. My lights run out of juice, so we've still got a decent natural light flowing in. But we're pretty much done here. This is going to remain sheer ice wall. In fact, I might have this kind of move back as like a seal, a magical seal that wraps around these rocks, and then we'll X out this line when we get into Photoshop. So that's going to look rather interesting, I think. Yeah, quite happy with this how this has come out. It's going to take a bit more work in Photoshop to tidy up the bits that I don't like. Let me shift it this way for you all. This is what we ended up with. So just having another look around. I'm going to give it a stand-up look. Excuse me. Oh, that's a pity, Egan. That might be my fault. I'm not sure. This laptop might not be cut out for streaming, but it's the best I can do for the hand cam. Okay, good to know. Stream's still going. Yes. Yeah, the Boomzer, we are wrapping it up. It's pretty much done. We're going very light with our lines on this map. There's going to be a lot more fun happening in the color layers. The only thing that concerns me is this natural stone path is rather barren. I think we just need a scattering of rubble just to break up this shape. Rubble and or snow, we'll decide what it is later. Well, thanks, Egan. I think it's going to look great with color and with a few fix-ups. This diamond just cracks me up every time. Hey Trevor Flo, welcome to the stream. We're just wrapping things up now, but I'm just procrastinating as I stare at it because I'm used to having maps very densely packed with lines, so it kind of looks a bit unfinished to me now. But that's a deliberate style choice in this case. I like our Elsa Ice Door. Yeah, like I guess my hope is that I can pull off this ice platform with the colors. That's going to take some monkeying to get right. But our crag here looks good. Maybe just a touch more cracks. Maybe we can kind of, what's that? Just a spattering of kind of texture on the ice. Just the smallest amount, and we can remove this later if I decide it's better without it. But just to suggest like a slight deformation slash some windy motion sweeping across here, like this might be like a puff of powdery snow getting blown across. Well, now that Treboflow's found my stream, I have to stop streaming content for my own game here, because secrets out, Treboflow is one of my players. He's obviously searching for the spoilers. But the light's dead, so, and I'm satisfied with this map. So I'm going to call this stream done. And I may be back much later to start the coloring process, but most likely that'll be tomorrow because I still have a lot of work to do to get the jungle temple out today. So if you'd like to see that, you can follow me on Twitter, probably is the easiest way. And if you enjoyed the stream, please do remember to hit the follow button or the subscribe button so that you can be notified next time I start up a stream. I will be drawing every single day, sometimes drafts, sometimes line art, most of the time coloring on Photoshop. And I'm running out of breath and coffee, so I'm going to take off. But Egan asked when I normally stream. Usually I'm kind of starting around this time. It's almost 4 p.m. here. And I usually start pretty late in the day. I get my free time out of the way in the AM. And then I usually work in the PM, but it can be all over the place. I think I started at 11 today, so hard for me to say, but if you subscribe or follow, you'll get a little ping when I start, and if you're free, then please come say hi again. But I'm going to take off. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks all these people I see on the event list for following me. Big thanks to Corey Artis for subscribing. I completely missed that notification. Sorry. And Kinetikin also. Thanks very much. That was 17 hours ago, so probably yesterday. But big thanks to you guys and everyone who followed. Smash that bell icon, and ciao, matane, bye bye.